17 tips, tricks, and hacks to travel inexpensively and comfortably. I'm Chris, this is Yellow Productions. I do travel guides that are fun, informative, and entertaining. And in this live stream today on July 10th, 2017, I'll be talking to you about how to travel cheap and comfortably at the same time. The things I will not be talking about are how to backpack or how to really rough it. I also won't be talking about how to stay in the Ritz-Carlton or really high-end hotels, but I think a way a normal person, maybe like myself, likes to travel and save money at the same time. So after watching this video, you'll know how I afford to travel to all the destinations that I do in my video. That's a question I often get. And I'd like to welcome the live stream watchers as well as those of you watching on the replay. I will mention, if you missed this and you want to get notified every time I do it, after you've subscribed, if you hit this little bell icon, then you'll get notifications every time I do a live stream, or also follow me on Facebook because I post there when I'm getting ready to do one of these. And yippee, welcome to the live stream. Alright, so the 17 tips I've got, I'm going to break down into a few different sections. I am going to start with tips for using miles and points, and then I'll talk about credit cards, cheap hotels, cheap flights, and then some general cheap travel tips at the end. So if you have any questions as I go, please ask. So we are going to start with tip number 1. And tip number 1, one of the ways that I travel cheaply is using airline miles and hotel points. So we're going to talk about airline miles and hotel points, but you know, the number one most expensive thing I would say for travel is airlines and flights. And the second most expensive are hotels. But the great thing about a lot of chain airlines and chain hotels is they have these rewards programs that you can sign up and get miles and points and redeem them for free flights. Particularly when you see me traveling business class, I am never paying for a business class ticket because I do not have that kind of money, but I am often redeeming airline miles for those tickets. And BT, hey, welcome. BTS, is there any Asia travel in my future? Someday there will be. Nothing on tap right now, but I'm sure I'll be coming back. And SoCal Seth, welcome for making it to the live stream. So, on the miles and hotel points, I find I have a lot of friends and even colleagues who, when they travel on a flight or when they check into a hotel, I'll be checking in with them, and the hotel will ask them, hey, what is your Hilton rewards number? Or are you a member of Marriott Rewards? And inevitably these folks say, no, I don't have one. And but this will be the 5th time I've traveled with them. And by that time, they're actually missing out on a lot of points they could have accrued at those hotels that they could then redeem for a free hotel stay. If you do travel at all for work, trying to focus your travel on a single hotel chain really helps in the points accumulation. Also on airline travel, the airlines kind of redeem in different ways. My favorite are, I'd say, the big American carriers for redemptions. United, American Airlines, not really Delta because their program isn't worth a whole lot of money, but when I use my award miles with United and American Airlines, I am often also not booking on United and American, I'm booking their partner airlines to Asia or Europe. So on United, I might be booking Asiana or ANA to Japan or Korea. On American Airlines, I might be booking Japan Airlines to Japan. We recently went to Switzerland. For those of you who are regular followers, used United Miles to book Swiss Airlines direct LAX to Zurich in business class. Probably sitting next to people who paid multiple thousands of dollars for those tickets, but we redeemed it for 130,000 miles plus a nominal fee of you know, $100. So that's a pretty good deal. So now I'm going to go on to number 2 and say, how do I actually accrue all of those airline miles and hotel points? Because if you don't stay in a lot of hotels or you don't travel a lot, you'll be wondering, well, how do I get those things? And number 2 is via credit card sign-up bonuses and spend and shopping portals. So this has 3 sections that I'm kind of going to unpack like that. So And there was a question that Yippee asked, which I'll answer as I do this one. So, credit card sign-up bonuses. Yeah, so back in the day, maybe for those of you who are a little bit older, when you were in college, you might have seen the people in college that were selling credit cards, trying to get you to sign up and giving you a free t-shirt. Or there were banks that would sign you up and give you a free toaster. That's not what I'm talking about when I'm talking about sign-up bonuses. Sign-up bonuses, one of the cards I recently signed up for is the Chase Sapphire Reserve. It has a 100,000 ultimate reward sign-up bonus, and you can transfer their 100,000 ultimate rewards points directly to airline miles. So those 100,000 points equate directly to 100,000 United miles, which 100,000 United miles, that would be 4 round-trip domestic flights, or you could potentially book an international flight in business class. I also recently signed up for the American Express Platinum card. That one came with, I think, 100,000 membership rewards points, or 75,000. But there are a lot of credit cards that come with these significant sign-up bonuses. There's even smaller ones. The United cards often come up with 50,000. There's the Alaska Airlines card through Bank of America. There are lots of credit cards. People often ask me how many credit cards I have, and I probably have at least 20 credit cards open currently right now, and that is probably a small number for me. There's certain times where I've had significantly more credit cards, and not all of them do I keep around all the time. I'll often have them for about a year and then cancel. So, but there are some that I'll keep around for a long time, like I will keep the Marriott card because it gives me 15 nights every year to my elite status with Marriott. I will keep the which other ones do I have? The United card I keep because it earns Premier qualifying miles. We'll talk about that later, and I get a mileage bonus. The City Prestige card is one I recently got, and I like that one because it has a 4th night free hotel benefit. So it does have an expensive annual fee. It's like $400 or $450 for the annual fee on the City Prestige card. But booking a 4th night free, when we stayed at the Andaz in Maui and the rooms are $550 a night, the 4th night free, the first time you use it, pays for the annual fee plus more as part of the card. So Yippee asks, airline hotel credit cards or other credit cards like Chase Sapphire for miles and hotel points. And so, Yippee, I would say all of the above. I deal in credit cards in every single currency. The credit card currencies, the airline currencies, I've even got miles and programs. I've never flown British Airways, but yet I have a number of British Airways Avios points because you can use British Airways to redeem on other partner carriers. And that's something not a lot of people think about. They often think, I'll get my United miles to redeem on United, I'll get American to redeem on American, but you can accrue currency on those other airlines. You can accrue currency on international airlines and redeem them for domestic airlines in whatever country you're in. So Calcess says it helps if your airport is a hub for a specific airline, like in Phoenix, it's a hub for American Airlines. And SoCal said, I would agree. In that case, you'd probably want to be accruing your mileage on American Airlines, and probably want to have a number of the American cards, too. BT made a couple comments about the mileage. He said 100,000 is on the business card. I think at the time I got it, the 100,000 ultimate rewards points was on the Chase Sapphire personal card. I did actually go into the branch to apply for it in person. 60 to 80K for the other Sapphire cards. I have a number of the Sapphire cards. Also, the Chase Inc. cards is another Chase currency. It's a Chase credit card for businesses that gives you 5x points on telecommunications and office supply purchases. So whenever I need to buy things from Amazon, I don't buy them directly from Amazon. I go to Staples and I buy Amazon gift cards, and then I redeem those Amazon gift cards on Amazon, because then every purchase on Amazon, instead of getting 1 point per dollar, I get 5 points per dollar. And then we get into the discussion of shopping portals. So, by the way, that previous one was spend bonus, and actually let me say it a little bit more before I get to the shopping portal. So a lot of these credit cards will have their bonus in certain categories, and so that's important to look at, is using the credit card that gets you the most miles for a specific purchase. The Chase Sapphire Reserve, Preferred. The highest tier one gives you 3 points for everything travel related. As I say, the Chase Inc. card gives you 5 points for everything in an office supply store. So you bet I'm spending a lot of money in those categories. And then the comment on shopping portals. So this is something that not a lot of people know about, and I think more people should know, but all of the airlines have shopping portals. United has one, American has one, Delta has one. In addition, Chase has one, Citi has one, and you can go to various websites and see what the biggest shopping portal bonus is. Sometimes for Ultimate Rewards points, places like Nordstrom's or Bloomingdale's will have 10 Ultimate Rewards points per dollar if you buy through the Chase Ultimate Rewards portal. To do that, you first have to go to the shopping portal. I'll use the United one a lot. I go to United, it's like Mileage Plus Shopping. You log into the portal, you select the website that you're gonna buy something from, it takes you there, it sets a cookie, and then when you buy something there, you get either the points the program gave you or the bonus points that are perhaps happening at that time. So shopping portals are really important to earn extra miles per dollar. Yippee commented in 20 question mark wowie. Yes, 20 credit cards. I do have a lot of credit cards. BT says Chase Ultimate Reward has great one-to-one transfers to Hyatt and Singapore, and BT is right. If you wonder how I stayed at a lot of Hyatts recently, particularly the Park Hyatt in New York, it was redeeming Hyatt points that I transferred Ultimate Rewards points to in order to do that. Jake BT also comments that Chase Ultimate Rewards had the best partners, and I agree, they do have the best transfer partners. Sheraton also has really good transfer partners that if you're using the American Express Sheraton Preferred Guest Card, that's a pretty good currency as well. Jake McShane says IHG Rewards Cards is worth it for a free night every year at any IHG property. Absolutely. There are plenty of cards that I think give you those sorts of bonuses. The Marriott card does that. The Hyatt card gives you a free night at the Hyatt, and that free night often you can redeem for a value more than what you pay for the annual fee for the credit card. I'm personally not an IHG person. I don't really stay at the Holiday Inn type chains much, but those do have good sign-up bonuses. BT commented and said, Yellow, which would be me, Chris, is a true churner that I went for the in-branch offers, and hey, it's a good sign-up bonus, so I'm willing to go after it. On Facebook, Che Santi joined and said, at last I catch you live. So Che, you get a thumbs up. Thanks for joining the live stream. So Calcess says, yup, I'm with American and Marriott. I'm self-employed, so since I end up paying for it all, I stick to those two. It's good to be able to focus. I think that's excellent. Rival Adversary said, hi, Yellow Productions. I love your videos. Your Singapore videos have been very helpful as we're going to Singapore, Taiwan, and Japan in 2 days. Excellent, Rival Adversary. I hope you enjoy Singapore, Taiwan, and Japan, and I'm glad to hear you enjoyed my videos. It really means a lot to me. And Rival Adversary asked, do you have any advice on how to accrue Starwood points? Yeah, and my #1 recommendation on accruing Starwood points would be signing up for the American Express Starwood credit card. And there's a couple different varieties. There's a personal variety and a business variety. You can hold both the personal and the business card. So that would be my suggestion would be to sign up for those 2 cards if you don't have them already. And Joshua Pickles, thanks for sharing the video. Here's £1. All right, so that's the discussion on credit card sign-up bonuses, spend, and shopping portals. But I think if I had those #1 and #2, those are the biggest tips. I'm not telling you to stop watching now, but that's definitely the highlight. We're getting into some other ones. And Joshua Pickles also commented and said the SPG referral program, and in that case, that's referring people to sign up for the SPG cards, and you can get even more points that way too. So get all your friends involved. SoCalCess comments that for Starwood, they've been bought out by Marriott, so the Starwood program may be changing. I agree, and so now's a really good time to get those Starwood Amex cards before they're gone altogether. And Danny Dam just joined the stream and said, sorry, I'm a bit late. It is okay to join whenever you'd like to. Don't be sorry at all. We are going to go on to tip #3 after I drink some water. And by the way, if I look like I'm a little warm right now and you hear a fan sound in the background, it's because I am. We are having a bit of a heat wave in California. It is unseasonably warm for us right now. Okay, #3, is to travel cheap and comfortably is to get a no foreign transaction fee credit card and ATM cards. So if you ever wonder why, like you look at the Chase building and it looks nicer than your house, it's because most of us just give the banks our money, particularly every time we make a charge overseas. Most credit cards charge somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 to 3% for every transaction made internationally. ATM cards, most banks will also charge you a international withdrawal fee plus a special international ATM fee, but there are a number of credit cards that you can get that have no international transaction fees, and there are also credit ATM cards that you can get that have no international ATM withdrawal fees. An example of that is the Charles Schwab ATM card that's linked to their brokerage account. So I have a card specifically. I use the Charles Schwab account just when I am traveling internationally, and I do that so that, well, I don't have to pay any fees, because I don't really like to pay fees. Joshua Pickles, when I commented about the heat, said I should turn on the air conditioning. You know, I would, but I am doing something about traveling cheap, so the fan is excellent. And maybe I sweat out those extra calories from In-N-Out Burger. It's my own personal sauna today. Chris Wood comments and says the numbers are backwards on Facebook, but normal on YouTube. Chris Wood, by numbers, you mean the numbers that I'm holding up like this. That's interesting. So apparently the phone on Facebook that I'm using has one of these weird reverse problems. That's interesting. Joshua Pickles also commented and said the Fidelity debit card has no ATM fees also. Joshua, thanks for that tip. That might be one I have to sign up for as well. Okay. So the other thing I will say, once you get a no foreign transaction fee credit card, when you go to a foreign country and you run an American credit card, or whatever country you're in, whatever home country your card is from, many international merchants will ask you, how would you like your charge charged to your credit card? We can charge it to you in your local currency or in our local currency. So if you're traveling in Europe, they might offer to charge it in euro or in pounds if your credit card is from Great Britain. You should, if you have a card that has no international transaction fees, you should always select their local currency option. If you're in Europe, get euros, because the currency conversion they do for the convenience will end up costing you quite a bit of money. So SoCal Seth commented, when I was talking about the heat here in SoCal Seth said in Phoenix, which I believe where he is, that it's cooled down to 105. That is really quite cool. SoCal says, if I'm not mistaken, my Marriott card has no ATM international fees. That may be one of them that has it. I will say every credit card company has their different variants that do and don't and different levels. And right, SoCal says reminds me not Phoenix but Tucson, and I should have remembered that. Rival Adversary says, this may be off topic, but they are going to Singapore and wondering if a portable fan would even help in the Singapore heat. I think a portable fan would definitely help. I could probably use one right now, even though I have a real fan right there. I think a portable powered fan would definitely help you. And Yippee says, I charged over $4,000 in US dollars instead of local currency. Well, Yippee, did you have a card that had no international transaction fees? If you did, then you should have gone and done it the other way. If you didn't, and they were going to tack on that extra fee, then maybe it wasn't so bad. Okay. We're going to go on to number 4. The number 4 way that I travel cheap and comfortably is hotel credit cards for hotel status. An example of this is the Hilton Amex Surpass. It's like one of the Hilton Amex cards that has a $75 annual fee. When you have that credit card, you automatically get Hilton Gold status, which will give you free breakfast at Hilton, DoubleTrees, basically anything in the Hilton chain. And so for the, say, $75 fee, if you stay at DoubleTrees for 3 nights that year, you will make your $75 back, because if you were buying breakfast in those hotels, it would cost you $25 a person. There are a number of credit cards that I hold just because of the status that I get, because then I get free perks at the hotels. Free breakfast, free internet, all sorts of goodies. You know, some hotels will even give you free parking if you're a elite member. I am a Marriott Platinum. Last year, actually Chris Wood, who is on Facebook, gave me a hat tip to the Hyatt status challenge match, where you could like match your status from Marriott to Hyatt. So I did that, and then I was matched to a Hilton Diamond, and so all those statuses were very nice for lots of free perks at those hotels. Joshua Pickles on Facebook comments on my previous topic about ATM fees, international transaction fees, saying there's a big difference between ATM fees and credit card foreign transaction fees. I agree, and certainly they can add up both in their different ways, right? Typically the ATM fee, you know, you might get hit with the surcharge for using an international ATM. The other ones, it might be a percentage cost, but I like to really not have to worry about either. And Joshua Pickles also comments that Marriott Platinum members get reserved parking. Joshua Pickles, which Marriott have you been to get reserved parking? I'm really curious. Do they put out like a little sign that says Mr. Pickles arriving? I think that'd be pretty cool. Jessica Park comments on YouTube and says, just wanted to say I really love your videos. Jessica, thank you. And it's okay, it's super random. I really appreciate that you love the videos. At the end of my last live stream, I had this pretty sappy rant about how if it wasn't for you all that watch these things, I wouldn't be doing them. And so the reason why this channel exists is not me, it's all of you. And so I appreciate that. And Mr. Pickles answered my question about his reserved parking. It was at a courtyard, and yes, they put out a sign for him. That is pretty awesome. And a nice, sweet little perk that makes you feel kind of welcome when you get there. SoCal Seth says he puts his Marriott card to work, and he loves them points. That's excellent. Okay, and then some of the credit cards, if you spend a certain amount on it, you can get like the next tier of status. So with Marriott, when you have the card, you get 15 elite nights towards your status for the personal card. If you have the business card, you get another 15 nights towards your status, and then every $3,000 you spend, you get another night toward your status. On some of the Amex cards, you can spend like $40,000 and get Hilton Diamond if you spend a fair bit on the card. Some people may be saying, how on earth would I spend $40,000 on a credit card? That is a topic probably for another live stream about how you spend a lot of money that maybe you don't have on a credit card. Sean Judson commented on YouTube and says, I love your videos, really liked the Japan Disney World. That's excellent, Sean. Are you going to Japan Disneyland? Tokyo Disney? Let me know. Okay, number 5. The number 5 way to travel cheap and comfortably is, you might expect this after I talk about hotel credit cards, but it is airline credit cards. The airline credit cards can waive a number of fees on airlines, particularly baggage fees. Baggage fees eat up very, very quickly, and many of the airline credit cards will give you the first checked bag for free. Or if you don't want to have that credit card and you want to be extra cheap and not pay your checked-in fees, just carry on your luggage. On many of my trips, I carry on my luggage, or fly Southwest Airlines. You know, if you watch a lot of my live streams, you might think I'm a Southwest Airlines hater, but actually what I really like about Southwest is free checked bags, 2 free checked bags. And I think this is something where, as we get into number 6, about checking the fees associated with airline tickets, many of the discount carriers, Spirit, Frontier, those sorts of things, while their ticket may be $19, that $19 fare is often too good to be true, because that $19 fare can come with up to $100 fees to check in your carry-on bag. I think it's truly ridiculous. And even the legacy carriers, American, this and that, there was one trip, I had to check 3 bags on this trip. The first bag was, I don't know, $25. The second bag was $50. The third bag was $125. Now, after checking in these 3 bags, it was $200. Something to that order. I could have upgraded my economy ticket to first class for less than $200 and gotten 3 checked bags at the same time. So take a look at those fares you're buying. You might want to buy that one that doesn't have all the extra fees because you might save some money in the long run. Joshua Pickles commented about the DoubleTree because I was talking about DoubleTrees. And for those of you who have stayed at DoubleTrees or maybe just seen their vans driving by, they always have like cookies on their airport shuttle because DoubleTree is known for cookies. And Mr. Pickles says anybody who goes up to the front desk and asks for a cookie can get a cookie. You might not even have to be staying there. Mr. Pickles also comments and says that American Platinum and Executive Platinum members get substantial discount when using miles for hotel and rental cars at useaamile.com. So check that out if you are an American Platinum and Executive Platinum member. Thanks for the tip. useaamile.com. All right. SoCal Sess commented and said, plus, depending upon your status, you can also multiply your points, which is absolutely a great tip. The greater statuses you have, the more points you earn, either on every stay or every flight that you take. That is one of those reasons why in United I have to keep my Premier Platinum status every year, because it's just this treadmill that I stay on, right? But the airlines, you know, they are sinister. They keep us doing it. And SoCal Sess also comments that all those bag fees, you could have FedExed them. You know, and it's funny, after that experience of paying those ridiculous fees, there was another trip that I was on and I had some stuff I had to send back and it would have ended up being a third bag. I did just ship it back in a box because it was way cheaper than actually checking the stuff in. Danny Dam comments and says, the American Express Delta Sky Miles, you can check in up to 10 bags for free as long as the 10 people travel on the same itinerary as you. Danny, that's an interesting tip. I don't know that I'm ever going to have 10 people traveling with me, but I'm sure people would. And so it's interesting that it's the 1 checked bag per person up to everybody on your itinerary. Sean Judson says, I'd love to travel abroad. Thanks for asking. Well, Sean, you should, and I think you'll enjoy it. So definitely put Tokyo Disneyland on your list. You'd like it. Yippee asks, Wust Topher. Maybe he's saying, where is Topher? He is resting. He was really tired after the live stream last time on Travel Vocabulary, so resting his voice. He's kind of a prima donna. He needs to sleep, eating bamboo, so he is resting. He's just, this heat a little too much for a little panda. And SoCal Sess comments that that's why I only carry on. And that is a great way to save baggage fees. When you only carry on, you don't have to pay it. All right. Number 7 way to travel cheap and inexpensively. Traveling in shoulder season. So most people like to travel to certain places at certain times. And I could give a generic advice like saying, well, it is often more expensive to travel in the summer, around Thanksgiving, around Christmas or the holidays or the New Year's. However, that's not always the case to every destination. I would suggest that whatever destination you are going to, that you look up that particular destination and see when shoulder season or the low season is for that destination. In the case of Hawaii, it is often October and November. In the case of Las Vegas, it's often right after some of the holidays, like right around Thanksgiving and right around Christmas. Often there's like nobody in Las Vegas. And so some places can be really busy and other places can be really dead. One of the ways you save the most amount of money, or that I save the most amount of money, is by traveling to places when not everybody and their mother wants to travel there. It's also great because when you're traveling in shoulder season, generally less busy. Sean Judson comments on YouTube, my wife Teresa wants to travel also. Where would you recommend to start in Tokyo? Ooh, that's a great question. I would say if you're going to Tokyo, the #1 place I recommend to stay at is in Shinjuku. It's the biggest train station in Tokyo. And I think visiting Shibuya, Harajuku, the Tokyo Imperial Palace, those are some great places to start your Tokyo trip. And OC Girl also comments on YouTube, to remind me that Chinese New Year makes most Asian countries a really expensive time to travel. So if you are not Chinese or Asian, you might not have any idea when Chinese New Year is, but you should look that up when you're traveling to Asia. One of the things I particularly recommend too, before you book your airline tickets and commit on dates, to go and take a look at what the hotels cost in that destination, because you might find out that the tickets are cheap, but if you're going to Tokyo in April during cherry blossom time, the hotels might be $500 a night when they're regularly $100 a night. I find a lot of people often corner themselves into the dates that they're going and then end up spending exorbitant rates on the hotels because they just didn't pay attention. And if they would have shifted 1 week in the other direction, it might be cheap. Las Vegas is another example where if you're going to Las Vegas, you need to make sure that you're not going there when a convention is there, because the rates, the hotel rates in Vegas can go from $50 a night to also $500 a night, depending upon whether a convention is in town or not. Okay, number 8 way to travel cheap and comfortably is to book in advance, particularly if you're flying Southwest. This will be interesting because while it is a general comment that I would say booking in advance can save you money, sometimes last minute can save you money, usually knowing the price is the best way to do it. And kayak.com, K-A-Y-A-K, has a great price graph that if you put your flights where you want to go from to in there, they'll have this graph that tells you roughly where the price is and their advice on whether to buy or wait. And if they say wait, chances are the fares are going to drop. So if you are planning to go somewhere, I would suggest, a couple times a week, doing an airfare search for that particular set of dates, of different dates, this and that, and see what the prices look like and see if they fluctuate. You might see them go up, you might see them go down, and obviously you want to buy your tickets when they're down and they're like at the bottom. That's the best place to buy them. SoCal Seth commented that it happened to him in Macau, and he did pay for that one. SoCal Seth, were you in Macau on Chinese New Year? If so, I bet that was exciting, but I bet it was busy. Danny Dam also comments and says, on Kayak you can put in a fare alert. And Danny's right, you can put in your email address, you can subscribe, and it'll send you alerts when they're cheap, or when they get below a certain threshold, or when they get below the price you were looking at. Mark Perez also comments and says, also use Google Travel. I haven't used Google Travel all that much, so Mark, tell me, what do you like about using Google Travel? What does it do for you? Okay, and SoCal Seth says he was in Macau on Chinese New Year, and it was fun, but expensive. I bet it was. Our Norm says, hi from Chicago. I enjoy your videos and your personality on the videos. By the way, you think about visiting Chicago, the Chicago Riverwalk, Millennium Park, Museum of Science and Industry, and the Art Institute. I have been to Chicago. There's actually been some frequent flyer conferences I've been to in Chicago, but it's been maybe 4 or 5 years, and I think I had 1 or 2 days in Chicago. I visited the Bean. I have like one video on the Bean. I didn't visit any of those places you mentioned. Maybe I visited Millennium Park, but I should definitely check out some of those other places when I visit Chicago. So our Norm, thank you for the tips. Number 9 way to travel cheap and comfortably, hotel discount codes. So a lot of hotels, when you're booking your hotel, will have a little box for like promo code or discount code. If you're booking on Marriott, Sheraton, Hilton, any of the major American chains, they'll even help you out because they'll give you these little check boxes for AAA, senior, these sorts of things. And I will tell you, whenever you're booking a hotel, don't just start with the standard rates, but look at what the discount codes give you. Always look at what the AAA rate gives you. Even if you're not a AAA member, you should be looking at what the AAA rate gives you. Because it might be cheaper for you to sign up for AAA because the discounts you get might be impressive. Also, if you work for IBM or you work for a lot of major corporations, they often have agreed hotel discounts with the hotel chains. And if you know your corporate discount code, they can be significant, particularly going to areas like San Francisco or any major business hubs. An example, the IBM rate might be $100, whereas the rack rate might be $400 or $500. You can go online and often find various hotel discount codes. The statement that I would make is only use discount codes that you feel comfortable on using, which means that you can justify them at the front desk if they ask, hey, you use the IBM rate. Can you show us your IBM ID or show us some proof that you work for IBM? While I would say most hotels don't actually card you for whatever affiliation you have for that discount code, I have been carded a few times. And when I was in Switzerland, they carded me on the AAA rate. I've booked the AAA rate in 30, 40, 50 different hotels. Only once have I been carded for my AAA card. But the IBM rate is one where they do card pretty often. Aloha State of Mind says, hey, watched all your Hawaii videos. Didn't see the one where you talk about the cost of hookers. What was the average you paid? You know, I don't really have a good answer for you on that because that was not something I partook of when I was in Hawaii. Mark Perez was answering my comment on Google Travel and said it's almost the same as Kayak, covers airlines that Kayak doesn't cover. All right, well, I will have to check out Google Travel. Thank you for the tip. All right, number 10 way to travel cheap and inexpensively is hotel meal packages. This is going to be an interesting one because I often don't really recommend eating at hotels and I often don't eat at hotels because a lot of hotels often have very awful food, but some hotels have very good food, or some hotels are in locations where the rest of the food anywhere else is lousy or really expensive. For example, when we were in Switzerland last month, we were staying in this town called Wingen. It's in the Swiss Alps, and we could book a meal package with the room that was a half board rate, includes breakfast and dinner for 30 Swiss francs extra a person. But if you were to eat dinner not booked as part of the package, just dinner was $60 a person. And in the town, like the cheapest dinner anywhere else was 50 francs a person. So booking the half board 30 francs a person was a significant cost savings. Also, think about if you are not a elite member at the hotels, it might be worthwhile to buy up to the club rooms or the executive suites to get access to the lounge, particularly if you have 3 or 4 people in your room, because you might be paying one set fee, say $50 extra a night to buy up to the club lounge, but if you're getting breakfast for 4 people plus lounge access for 4 people, that could be pretty significant cost savings. So take a look at those meal packages and see if that's something that is a cost savings for you. Number 11 way to travel cheap and comfortably is to book outside the big international or American hotel chains. I know I've just spent a whole bunch of time talking about Hyatt, Marriott, Sheraton, which I love dearly to stay at. However, a lot of international destinations, the international chains are the ones that are the most expensive. And they're the most expensive because Marriott knows that a lot of Americans that are going to Rome, when there's only like 2 Marriotts, people will pay a premium to stay at the Marriott because they know what to expect. But there's plenty of great hotels in Rome that aren't part of the international chain. Specific one I will mention if you are going to Japan. And Japan is one where I would highly encourage you to get away from the big international chains because there's lots of local hotels in Japan that are great and cheap, and one of them is Toyoko Inn, not Tokyo, Toyoko, T-O-Y-O-K-O, Toyoko Inn. They have like super convenient locations. They're like right next to train stations. The rooms are small, but they're clean, they're quiet, they have great air conditioning. I love Toyoko Inn. You won't earn your miles and points, but in Tokyo, the Hyatt might be $400 a night, and Toyoko Inn might be $80 a night. While it won't be quite as fantastic as the Hyatt, that's a pretty big cost savings, which I am up for taking. SoCal Seth's comments about my previous comment about meal plans, lounge access, this and that, and agrees that lounge access comes in handy. When we were in Zurich, Switzerland, a month ago, Zurich is a super expensive city. And the fact that the lounge was open 24/7, free drinks, free coffee. In Zurich, a coffee is like 5 Swiss francs. So getting a free coffee in the lounge, 5 francs. Get 3 coffees in the lounge, 15 francs. Get breakfast in the lounge, get dinner in the lounge. Pretty soon, you save a lot of money, even if you pay a little bit more to upgrade for the access. Rival Adversary asks if I have tried the capsule hotels in Japan. I have not tried the capsule hotels in Japan. I am a light sleeper. I really can't do like a lot of sounds, like snoring, farting, the things that you might hear in a capsule hotel. So I generally like the peace and quiet of my own room. Some people have suggested I should go stay in one just to do a video, which I've considered. I just haven't been back to Japan since I've gotten that suggestion. Danny Dam says I'm staying in Tokyo Stay Hotel, Shinjuku. I think Shinjuku is an excellent place, and that's good. You got out of the American chains. Tokyo is a pretty good chain in Japan. Our Norm comments and says, Southwest has a low fare feature on the website. I've flown as cheaply as $65 one way on Southwest Chicago to LA. If you need to reschedule, you keep the credit for 1 year, no penalty. Our Norm has a great tip, and I didn't talk about that enough when I talked about my book early, and I should have. And I would say if you are booking early, one of the great reasons why Southwest is a great airline to book with is because Southwest, it doesn't matter what fare you book, the cheapest fare to the most expensive fare, they are all fully exchangeable. They're not all refundable. You can't get your money back, but you can get your money back as Southwest credit that you can use for any other flight. And so if you are, as long as you're planning to go to that destination eventually, it doesn't hurt to book early, lock in the cheap fare. If you find out your date slipped, then maybe you just change it to a slightly more expensive fare, but you at least have those cheap fares locked in. I also do the same thing with award tickets. I will often book an award ticket for a certain date to go someplace, and if you have certain airline status with the airlines, you can change for free or with low cost. And so I'll book one to be like, I'm just gonna get this flight, I'm gonna lock it in, see if I can get a better routing or things like that later. Okay. Number 12 way to travel cheap and comfortably is to use your cell phone as a wireless access point, or tethering. There's a lot of hotels that charge for Wi-Fi and internet, sadly, still, particularly if you're not a member of their loyalty programs. And so, if you have a phone plan that allows you to tether your laptop or other device to it, you can avoid paying those Wi-Fi or internet fees because you can get the internet through your phone. The related point to this, if you are traveling internationally, sign up for a plan that has maybe no international data fees. T-Mobile is an example of a provider that gives you a free international data, provided you have the right plan. Although it's kind of slow at the 2G speeds, still very nice to have Google Maps wherever you are. If you don't have a provider that does that, then I would also suggest when you go internationally, you can either buy a SIM card, or if you're going to Japan or some countries, they won't sell SIM cards, but they will sell like these little puck-based Wi-Fi hotspots, right? It's like a hotspot. You can connect multiple devices to it and have your data wherever you go with this little hotspot. So those are my suggestions how to avoid paying for expensive internet at hotels. SoCal Seth's comments and says, lucky as a Marriott Platinum member, he gets free Wi-Fi. I agree, that is a great thing about Marriott's. I just feel like it's a punishment, personally, to pay for internet in hotels. I mean, I feel like internet has become like a basic utility, like power or water. Like, internet should just be free. But sadly, in the world of hotel fees, hotels have just taken that as another fee, like parking, resort fees, and a whole bunch of ridiculous fees that they charge for. I hate resort fees, by the way. Rival Adversary says, how was Wi-Fi in Singapore? Were there any free public spots? I feel Wi-Fi in Singapore is pretty good. There's Wi-Fi certainly in the airport and a lot of different places. I feel Singapore is a pretty well-connected city. But I have international data on T-Mobile on my phone, so that's not a super big deal. Danny Dam comments and says he has T-Mobile, loves it, unlimited data and texts, 20 cents per minute for calling, super great, or use Skype when you're calling internationally too, even cheaper. I often do that where I'll use Skype to use my data plan because my data is free in an international destination, so I don't have to pay the per minute charges. SoCal Seth, I hit a nerve with him when I talked about resort fees. Says not get him started. He just came back from Vegas. And I agree, resort fees in Vegas in particular are ridiculous because I hardly even consider those places resorts. They're casinos, two different things. Sandra Bond, welcome to the live stream. Sandra says, I've not commented on a live stream. Am I on here? Sandra, you are on here. Welcome to the live stream. All right. We are on to lucky number 13, and lucky number 13 is booking rental cars from Costco Travel. This was a tip that I heard at a frequent flyer conference that I went to, and I really never bothered to pay attention to it. I would just book rental cars through the car companies, through Kayak, through Hotwire, through these various things. But Costco Travel, if you're a Costco member, is often the cheapest place to book rental cars. I have found that the rental cars I've gotten through Costco Travel are often 30 to 40% cheaper than the cheapest rates that I've found through Kayak or other places like that. So I would highly encourage you, it's not from the main Costco website, it's CostcoTravel.com, or you go to the main Costco website, go to travel. You have to have a separate account for the Costco Travel website than you do for the Costco website. Great rates on rental cars at Costco Travel. The other, gosh, now, see, doing a live stream. There's another service that you can use that if you email them your rental car itinerary, they'll try to rebook at cheaper rates. Somebody watching this live stream has to remember what the name of that service is. At the top of my head, I can't, but if somebody could help me out, what's that service that helps with booking rental cars and rebooking them? Somebody mentioned it on one of my previous live streams, too. Clearly the heat is getting to me. Kevin Perez with 3s as the E's says, I love your content. Thank you so much. Kevin Perez, I love that you joined and the creative 3s in your name. Thanks. Thanks for joining. Thanks for the comment. Thanks for the love. All right. Number 14 way to travel cheap and comfortably is to walk and take public transit. I find there's a lot of people who travel, and before I get into this, just to finish my previous comment about that rental car website, Chris Wood helped me out and said it's called autoslash.com. If you've never used autoslash.com and you're booking rental cars, I would highly suggest you to do so. Basically, you book a rental car, you can book it from anywhere, you send them the email with your rental car confirmation, and they will actively search the rental car websites every day for cheaper rates for you. And I've used Autoslash to find some pretty good, inexpensive rates. So Chris, thanks for the tip. Aloha State of Mind asked me if I've ever eaten the yellow snow. I've not eaten the yellow snow. I've drank iced tea. I wear the yellow t-shirts. Our Norm says, I know that I've made calls and video calls on WhatsApp to people around the world. I assume you could use WhatsApp on your cell phone when you are traveling to make calls and video calls. You probably could. The great part about Skype is you can also call phones directly from it, so that people don't have to have WhatsApp or things like that. And Kirk Depashton says, what's up from Woodland Hills? What's up, Woodland Hills? Thanks for joining. All right, so back to number 14, walk and take public transit. I find that a lot of people, when they travel, are unwilling to use the public transit in their destination. They want to take taxis everywhere. They want to take the hop-on, hop-off buses. They want to take tour buses. All those things cost a lot of money. I find that the hop-on, hop-off buses are often like the biggest scams in a lot of cities. In Rome, they have the hop-on, hop-off bus tour that's like $30 a day or something like that, whereas the subway is like $2 a ride, pretty inexpensive. And I feel like walking, A, gets you great exercise, and B, taking the public transportation, I really feel makes you feel like what it's like to actually live in the destination you're going to. Now, I often feel that if you go someplace and you don't take the public transit and you don't walk, and you're chauffeured everywhere in some big limousine coach, you don't actually get a feeling of the local vibe, right? What are the people who live here? How do they get on the subway? How do they cram in? Is it busy? Is it graffitied? Is it not? To me, that's actually a big part of the experience of traveling to a country. I was in Taiwan. I was in Taiwan with some colleagues, and we were there with some Taiwan locals, and we were going to dinner. And we took taxis to go there because the hotel we were staying at had a big taxi rank in front of it. Super easy to get a taxi, go to this dinner restaurant. The dinner restaurant was right next to the MRT, or the subway, in Taipei. And the local Taiwanese said, hey, we should take the subway to go back. You know, it's raining right now, so it's going to be really hard to get a taxi. And the other Americans that I was with, they were like adamant that they were not going to take the subway. They were going to take a taxi. And this is when the local Taiwanese guy was sort of like, okay, well, I mean, forget all you people, because the subway's like way faster. I went and took the subway, got great exercise, subway's clean in Taiwan, and I got back to the hotel significantly before they did because they were standing there in the rain trying to hail down a cab in a place that not many cabs go to. So I would definitely encourage you to branch out. Like in Taipei, the subway ride costs like less than $1. In Singapore, the subway is super cheap too. Public transportation is often really cheap in a lot of different places. Kirk comments that tuk-tuk drivers are a ripoff, and they absolutely are because they're people who prey on tourists. You know, I would say avoid the typical tourist forms of transportation because that's where you're going to get ripped off the most. Aloha State of Mind comment says hitchhiking is not frowned upon on certain islands in Hawaii. Aloha State of Mind, which islands? I'm curious. The smaller islands, the bigger islands, do you see people do that in Oahu? Where do you see people do that? Number 15, way to travel cheaply and comfortably. Rail passes. This kind of is in line with my previous commentary about public transportation, but a lot of countries, Japan, number 1, Switzerland, number 2, offer these all-you-can-travel rail passes. In Japan, it's like a 7-day rail pass. Typically, is the base one for $300 or $400. Like all you can travel on Japan Railways trains. We did a similar pass. We went to Switzerland. The Swiss Travel Pass came in different numbers, different days. And so I would just encourage you, if you are going to a particular country, to take a look at what sort of rail or travel passes they have to offer, because it might save you A, a lot of money, but B, a lot of time also. For example, going to Tokyo, we almost always get the rail pass because we're almost always taking the bullet train someplace. And like if you're staying in Tokyo and you're going to Nikko, Nikko is this old historic town of temples. You know, the bullet train can be like $100 each way. So that $400 rail pass that you buy, well, that could pay for half of itself in a single day going to Nikko and back. That being said, if you're just staying in Tokyo, the Japan Rail Pass will not make back the $400. I do find that there's a lot of cities that have things like Stockholm has the Stockholm Pass, or LA has the LA Pass, and a lot of people buy those. They include transportation, museums, all those kinds of things. I find the travel passes that include a lot of attractions at the same time end up being bad deals. Bad deals if you don't want to go to many of the attractions. If you, like, I went to Paris, and I don't really like to stay in museums for a long time. I like to go to museums for 30 minutes to go see the highlights, and in that case, there's like a Paris equivalent of this. You get access to all the museums, you get transportation, then it works really well, because I get the admission to those things, I get the transportation, but if I was somebody who liked to spend all day in the Louvre, and then spend all day in another museum, I would never make my money back on that pass. So make sure you do the math if you are booking those to see if it works out for you. OC Girl commented about Japan and said that we, which include OC Girl, myself, and Topher, it's the 3-person we, that we got to see a lot of cherry blossoms with the JR Rail Pass, and it makes every place much closer. It is absolutely true. And if you're going during cherry blossom season to Japan, the thing about that is you sort of never know where the cherry blossoms are blooming. And if you have to pay for these train rides that could cost $100 each way, or $200 if you're going Tokyo to Nagoya or something like that. But if you have a Japan Rail Pass, that's a 2-hour train ride for free. So really good if you are going to cherry blossoms to get the Japan Rail Pass, because then you can just go any place in a whim. Rival Adversary answered the question about hitchhiking, said, we saw some hitchhikers on Maui, but were thrown off a little bit because there were a lot of reported car break-ins. This is along the road to Hana. Absolutely, there are a lot of car break-ins, not just in Maui, but in a lot of different places in Hawaii. Particularly places where tourists are, because they know tourists often have valuables in their car. David M., thanks for joining. Greetings. Kirk asks, would I go to Turkey right now with the recent terrorist activity? If you were asking me personally, I would not go to Turkey right now. I'd like to go to places that are not just safe, but super safe. Maybe I'm an adventure traveler when it comes to like foods and sights and zip lines and that sort of stuff, but I don't like to think I'm an adventure traveler when it comes to terrorist activity, wars, and that sort of thing. I like to stay away from those sorts of places. Aloha State of Mind answered the Hawaii question, hitchhiking a little more, said Big Island, Kauai, Maui, and rural parts of Oahu are fine for hitchhiking, and says that most hitchhikers are just locals, friendly and appreciative. So, something to think about when you go to Hawaii. SoCal Sets comments on the North Shore. If you're going there in Hawaii, lots of break-ins there too. Pretty rural place, lots of surfers keep stuff in their car. Sean Judson says, thank you, always enjoy your videos and advice. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the comment and the questions too. All right, we are getting to the second question from the end, number 16. Question number 16. Number 16, not a question. These aren't questions. This is part of my agenda. Item number 16 on how to travel cheaply and comfortably is eating cheaply. And by the way, eating cheaply does not mean eating at the hotel room service or getting anything from the minibar. Those things will like cost you way too much money. But I am always amazed at people who tell me they go to Singapore and they didn't go to the hawker centers, and they go to Taiwan and they didn't eat at the night markets, and they went to Japan and they didn't eat at Pepper Lunch. I mean, there are a lot of these places that are what I would consider to be fast food. The hawker centers in Singapore, fast food. You go there, you order, you get your food. You go to Taiwan, and there's all these night markets where you can get really cheap food right on the streets. But I find there's a lot of people that when they travel, they don't want to eat at these places because they associate fast food with low-quality food, food that isn't good, food that isn't delicious, and they want to go eat at sit-down restaurants. Sit-down restaurants in a lot of places cost you a lot of money, take a lot of time, and some of the best food, particularly in Singapore, is in the hawker centers. It's not even in the sit-down restaurants. And so when you go to a country, you have to, I would say, expand your comfort zone a little bit to what the cheap food is in that country. I'm not telling you to eat at places that look unsanitary, but I am telling you to eat at places that that maybe again aren't a Michelin-starred sit-down restaurant. One of the things that I do whenever I go someplace, whatever the destination is, I go to Google and I go cheap eats Tokyo, cheap eats LA, and I put together a list of places that I'm gonna eat at that are cheap and places that people say are good. OC Girl often plans our itinerary, the sites we're gonna go see around the cheap eat restaurants that we are going to go eat at. In Japan, in particular, you should eat at 7-Eleven a lot, or the convenience stores. The convenience stores in Japan, you can get breakfast, lunch, and dinner at these convenience stores for like $3 or $4. I mean, it's amazing. The food is fresh every day, and it's all really quite good. When we arrive into Japan, we often have our first night's dinner, if we arrive late, from the convenience stores that we just take back to our hotel. And we don't, it's not like eating at like a gas station in the US or Australia where you'd have food that's like old and gross. The convenience stores in Japan are super delicious. I would also encourage you, if you want to eat cheap, I've got this playlist on my channel called Delicious Food Around the World with lots of cheap eats type things. So that's a good resource for you as well. Kirk asks, do you own a drone? I do not own a drone. I've considered buying a drone, but there's also, drones have sort of become this weird regulatory nightmare where I've heard of, a lot of people getting arrested or in illegal trouble because they're flying their drone. I don't really want to spend a lot of time researching where I can, where I can't fly it, what the laws are. And also, if I was taking the drone with me on travel, that would just be another huge thing to carry. I don't really like to carry huge things. I just travel with a little Sony camcorder, my 360 cam, my wireless mic, some pretty light video gear. And the drone, I think, would just be too heavy for me. Kirk also asked, can we see all your passport stamps? No, you can't, because then you might see something personal in my passport. But I have a lot of them in there, trust me. I have not had to get a extra set of passport pages, though, at least. So I haven't quite gone that crazy. SoCal Seth says, if the Middle East is a part of your list, you may enjoy Dubai. I bet Dubai would be pretty cool. I would like to go to Dubai sometime. Kirk asks, no, Kirk already asked that question. Rival Adversary says, yes, we are going to eat at that Michelin star Hawker Center place. Excellent. I'm glad you're doing that. There's a few of them, which reminds me, what do you think if you're tired, if you tried? Is it overrated? Are the other hawker shops just as good? Right, so I think you're speaking about in the Chinatown Hawker Center, there's this Michelin-starred chicken rice place. When I was in Singapore last, that was just announced, like that list of Michelin-starred hawker centers, and their line was like 100 people long. So I did not eat at that one. If you take a look at my hawker center video, top 9 best hawker centers in Singapore, I ate at a chicken rice place in, oh gosh, where was it? I ate at a chicken rice place in that video that was pretty good. It was not the Michelin-starred one, but it was one that Michelin has this other rating that they say it's like not quite a star, but it's really good. And I felt that place was pretty darn good. I think you couldn't go wrong with any of those 16 other tiered ones that aren't the ones that actually have the Michelin star. And like the chicken rice was like $3 Singaporean. I mean, super cheap, super delicious. Better than something that I might get at a fancy sit-down restaurant here in Southern California for $100. There was like $3, so super good. SoCal Seth says, if I'm in Japan, I'm eating all the ramen I can get my hands on. That is a good way to eat cheap. Ramen, cheap, delicious, super filling. I agree. Ramen in Japan is excellent. B.R. Vandal asks, have you done any motorbike or scooter tours, and would you recommend it? You know, I haven't. I would put that in the category of dangerous. You know, like, I'll see people in Taiwan who go rent scooters, and they don't really appreciate what it's actually like to ride a scooter in that country. I just think it's safer to walk or things like that. I have in certain beaches maybe like rented an ATV and driven that around, and I thought that was pretty fun, but that's more of like an off-roady thing as opposed to a scooter thing that I feel I'm going to get run over by crazy traffic in a particular country. I have done Segway tours. I think Segway tours are pretty fun, riding around on a Segway. That's pretty neat. All right. Kevin Perez asks, have you ever traveled long-term? Months or years? No. I think no is probably the answer. I think my longest trips have maybe been a month. So probably a month is the longest that I've traveled on a particular trip. I actually like to come home at a certain point to sleep in my own bed, unpack, unwind. To me, I just get tired of traveling eventually. I gotta like recharge. But then I'll come back for 3 days and I'll be like, okay, where are we going next? Sean Judson says, what lights do you carry with you? Your natural lighting looks genuine. Do you have help? So, the lights I carry with me. I just have one little Manfrotto chargeable light that I carry with me, like when I'm in hotels. In this particular room that I'm in, I have over here a ring light. It's this big LED ring light. I have 4 track lights in the ceiling that are halogen lights. Over here I have a LED light with a little shade on it. So I'll probably do another video at some point about my lighting setup that I use here. But when I travel, I'm typically not taking any more than just that one light. I'm just trying to find good lighting wherever I go to. Rival Adversary says that place I talked about in Singapore was the place they're talking about for the chicken. You will enjoy it. Kevin Perez says, would you please do a series or just a video of you telling travel stories? Kevin, I can certainly do that. Now, Kevin, I'm going to ask you, what type of travel stories would you like to hear? So I start from the right place. BR Vandal says, which country did you feel the most unsafe? I will not answer this as a country. I will answer this as a city. Naples, Italy. Naples, Italy is the place that I felt I was going to die the most, not from thugs or gangs, but from just cars and traffic and transportation. If you look on my channel and you search for Naples, I have a video that I think I call like Naples left turn yield or not intersection. I just set my camera up on this intersection, and it was one where like I was driving from the airport. It looked like a thing where you left turn yield. So I was waiting, light turn green, cars coming straight, I'm waiting. And the cars behind me, they just drive around me, and they drive into traffic to cut through. In Naples, their driving style is not to wait for people to go, but to get in front of people. Because if they get in front of people, you can't get hit. Or they can't hit you, right? Because you're in front of them. I mean, super crazy. Though I'll say after about 2 or 3 days, I was like totally driving like an Italian and got the hang of it. But I was convinced I was going to die in Naples, at least in the traffic. Rival Adversary says, yeah, we watched the video about your hawker recommendations. Awesome. Enjoy. I know you will. Ad Chantvong says, going to Maui, wanting to eat at Star Noodle. Should I make reservations or will I be good to just walk in? Make reservations if you're going to Star Noodle. That place gets super busy. You can make the reservations on Yelp like months in advance, so I would definitely encourage you to do that. One time I was able to just walk in, but another time there were 50 other people waiting outside that didn't have reservations. We got seated at our time while everybody else was sitting around like schnooks outside, so definitely make a reservation. Kirk asks if I have seen the Ladyboy Cabaret in Thailand. I have not. I have not been to Thailand. Is that interesting? Have you seen it? Bobby Stroberger says, are Michelin star restaurants in Tokyo expensive? Headed to Tokyo this Sunday. Bobby, I would say so. Tokyo has this like huge range of prices from cheap to ridiculously expensive. OC Girl and I, on one of our trips there, we ate at this place called Sushi Show. It's like $200 a person for sushi. Super delicious. I mean, it's the best sushi we've ever eaten in our lives. Literally. It's also the most expensive sushi we've eaten in our lives. We've also been to rotating sushi restaurants where we spent $30 or $40 a person that felt we got, I don't know that I'm going to say almost equivalent sushi, but if Sushi Show was a 10, you know, the rotating sushi for $30 or $40 was maybe like an 8.9 or something. I mean, it was pretty close. So I think if you eat inexpensive places in Tokyo, you can be eating good. Though the high-end stuff in Tokyo is, I mean, truly amazing. There's like a yakitori place that I ate at in Tokyo Station. It was not a cheap yakitori place. I mean, the yakitori skewers are a normal yakitori. By the way, yakitori is like meat on a stick that they grill over charcoal. A typical yakitori stick might be like 100 yen or 150 yen, like $1, $1.50. This place, they were more like $5 to $7 each, but it was the most delicious and tender chicken yakitori I've ever had. Like, it was worth the price. So in Tokyo, the places that are expensive, they're worth the price, but you'll be paying for it. Okay. Rival Adversary says, we went to Star Noodle. Honestly, it was mediocre, all right. I highly recommend Maui Fish Market. It's close by. We went like 4 to 5 times. Rival Adversary, I've been to Star Noodle a couple times. I agree. One time, some of the dishes are mediocre. I really like the pork buns. So I haven't been to the Maui fish market. Maybe I should check that out next time too. So thanks for the tips for a fellow friend on the live stream. That's really awesome. And by the way, I feel what this is about. Like, you guys are a great community, and often I ask a question, and collectively one of the group of you that are watching has the answer. So that's super awesome too. Sean Judson says, thank you, new tuber here. Absolutely, Sean. If you have any other questions about what I use or how I do things, let me know. I have a live stream I did about my equipment, so you could take that too. Kirk asked, show us what kind of luggage you have. You know, I did a live stream about 6 or 8 weeks ago about my luggage, and I've got all my pieces of luggage in there. My Rimowa suitcases, my Travel Pro suitcases. If you take a look at my channel and you go to the live streams playlist, you'll find a video there about choosing the best luggage, and it has all of my luggage in it. SoCal Seth says, drivers in Paris and also anywhere in India terrify me. I agree. Paris is rough. Not as rough as Naples. I've not been to India, but I've seen videos and heard stories that it looks pretty insane. Kevin Perez, for my story video, wants wild partying stories, anything crazy or interesting. I would love to hear stories of simple exploration of discovery. It would be so amazing to me if you told us how the places you visited changed you, or how you see the world. Okay, I'll do that. I'll think about some creative stories. Wild partying. I'm not a wild party guy, so you might not hear a lot of those, but I'll definitely come up with something. Vicky says, best cheap eats in Maui. You know, if you were to type that into the YouTube search bar, you'll probably find one of my videos. I have a best cheap eats in Maui video, so check that out. Rival Adversary says, I cannot recommend Maui Fish Market enough if you are in the Kaanapali area. Now I have to go back just to try that. All right, I'm putting that on my list. B.R. Vandal says, what was your favorite thing to do in Budapest? I didn't go to Budapest. Has anybody been to Budapest? What's your favorite things to do in Budapest? Gloria Fung says, tell me about the panda. Yes, we probably need to do another Topher stream. We did a Topher stream the last week. We had a travel vocabulary question with like Q&A about Topher, and so we probably need to do one about where Topher comes from, what Topher likes, what his story is. We were hoping somebody would ask that question, but we didn't. We'll have to come up with more Topher story material on the next Topher Panda podcast that we do. By the way, I'm Chris, he's Topher. Together we make Christopher, 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 Christopher. All right. B.R. Vandal says, sorry, was it Prague that you went to? It was Prague. My favorite thing to do in Prague is to eat. I love the dumplings in Prague. The meat and dumplings with the gravy, super delicious. I love Czech food. I'm half Czech, so I'm probably partial to that. I think exploring the old town, Prague Castle is really neat. There's also the astronomical clock, which is neat too. Just a wonderful old city. The Charles Bridge. It's this like historic bridge from, I don't know, 800 years ago over the Moldau River that has these old statues and vendors. That's pretty cool too. If you haven't seen my Prague video, check that out. It's got all those things in it. Kirk asked, do you buy a SIM card when you travel? I don't, because I have the T-Mobile unlimited data plan. I used to buy SIM cards when I didn't have that plan, though. So I'd buy like the prepaid minutes like in Hong Kong or things like that. Kirk asks, did you smoke weed when you went to Amsterdam? I did personally not smoke weed when I went to Amsterdam. I am, when it comes to stimulants other than caffeine, I'm probably a pretty boring person. I don't really partake in much alcohol. I'll drink the occasional beer when I'm in Europe because the beer is often cheaper for water. Cheaper than water. I don't smoke. I don't drink any more than that. I don't do any drugs, so I'm a pretty boring person. There's a sad joke that says I'm high on life, which I think I am. I like to actually have all of my senses with me and remember what's going on. Sandra Bond said, watched your video on Mama's Fish House and ate there last week. Great beach view. Sandra, I'm glad to hear you enjoyed it. What food did you get when you were there? I agree, the beach view is super awesome. Did you like the food? What did you get? And OC Girl wanted me to put out there that last live stream we were asking for a name for one of our stuffed animals that we couldn't remember the name. It was a stuffed animal that was a polar bear in a panda suit. And we got a suggestion to name the bear Barry, B-E-A-R-Y. It's a play on the name Barry, and we certainly did. So Barry is the name of our most recent stuffed animal, of which we couldn't remember the name. So thank you for that suggestion. David M. In-N-Out Burger. Yes, that's right. By the way, if you haven't seen my video that I posted, yesterday about Costco's new burger compared to In-N-Out Burger, check that out. I'll tell you, In-N-Out wins, but it is interesting that Costco, one of my favorite places, has a new burger that they just rolled out. BR Vandal asks, what is your favorite Eastern Central European country? I don't know if you'd consider this a Central European country, but Austria. I say Austria because Austria is just like super clean, super historic. Nothing in Austria was destroyed in any wars. Just super clean, and I feel that the Austrians are friendlier and slightly more welcoming than the Germans to tourists. So, Austria. David M. says, Costco Burger is just in your area. Well, it's in LA, Northern California, and Seattle. So yes, they are just testing it in a few different areas. They do plan to roll it out in next year, in more areas. But yes, when I heard it was here up in LA, I had to check it out. Kirk asks, do you like to go on cruises and cruise ships? You know, we have not become big cruise fans. Just because, one, there's sort of the motion of the ocean, which makes us a little bit seasick. And also, I like hotels. I like the experience of checking into new hotels to see, hey, what's this hotel like? What's the breakfast like? What's it going to be today? As opposed to eating the same buffet breakfast morning after morning after morning, etc., etc., etc. It's kind of cool to stay in this hotel and stay in that hotel and move around. I feel like that's part of the experience of travel. Sure, there's packing and unpacking and getting there and how do you do that, but I feel like that's part of what travel is about. SoCal Seth asks about burgers. He says, In-N-Out Burger or Teddy's? This is a tough one. So, I'm going to say In-N-Out because I'm going to say In-N-Out is cheaper. Now, I'm going to say in Hawaii, I really like Teddy's. Teddy's has a location they opened in Fullerton, California, which is near Los Angeles. An OC girl and I went to that Teddy's, all super excited about it. But it wasn't very good. Like, it's really good in Hawaii, because they got like pineapple and peanut butter and these sorts of things. It's delicious. I love it. But in California, it wasn't good. So I'm going to say In-N-Out, since they're both in California, and In-N-Out's better in California. BR Vandal says, where is the place in the United States that you want to go the most that you haven't been to yet? Two answers. One, we would like to go to Maine to have lobster rolls. We have not been to Maine. We would like to go there. Just flights to Maine, you have to go into Boston, and it seems like all the flights from LA to Boston are super expensive, particularly in the summer. So we haven't made it there yet. The other place I'd like to go to is the Grand Canyon. I have not been to the Grand Canyon, and I would like to visit that at some point here. Kirk asks, how much vacation time do you get a year? I get 6 hours every 2 weeks. So you can do the math of what that adds up to, but it's approximately then like a day of leave every 2.5 weeks or something like that. InstaKillYT says, hello, welcome, InstaKill. I am in Southern California. That's where I am right now, in Yellow Productions headquarters. Smiles and subscribe pillows. Rival Adversary asks, have you been to Scandinavia? if you had one choice, which country in that area would you go to? Finland, Sweden, or Norway? I have been to Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Netherlands. Sort of depends what you consider Scandinavia. We have not been to Finland in that list. I would say, I think Denmark was sort of the most colorful of those places. Norway was really neat because it had the fjords. Sweden, if you go to Stockholm, it's kind of interesting because they have this thing called the Vasa ship, which is this like ship museum that's sunk. They have like an ABBA museum. I mean, I think it's pretty cool to visit like a lot of those countries on one trip. But I think if I had to visit one, it would be Copenhagen in Denmark, because I think it's the most interesting and colorful city in Scandinavia. Kirk asks if I've ever been on The Price is Right. I have not been on The Price is Right. Maybe I should. I don't have a big costume to go up there. InstaKillYT says he is up in Northern California. They don't have Costco Burger here. They do. If you go to the Costco in Livermore, they have the burger. BR Vandal says, have you traveled overseas since Trump took office? Did anyone talk to you about it? I have. We were in Switzerland a month ago. But I will say I generally avoid political discussions. In general. Not just when I'm on travel, but in general. Because I find that political discussions just turn into arguments and don't really accomplish much of anything. So I'd rather just talk about travel or food or things that are enlightening and happy. Okay. R. Norm says, I have walked down the Grand Canyon to the Colorado River. I discovered that walking down is hard, but walking back up is harder. I bet it is. Pictures can't describe the awesomeness. Go to the South Rim. R. Norm, thank you for the tips. I will remember that, and I'll remember. Maybe I'll try to take like a donkey up or something like that. I think you can do that. All right. I'm going to go ahead and conclude this live stream now with number 17 for two reasons. One, I've been going for 82 minutes, and two, my voice is starting to go out. So number 17 is avoiding alcohol and bottled water. Great way to travel cheaply and inexpensively. Alcohol, super expensive in a lot of countries. We talked about Scandinavia. In Sweden, they have ridiculous tax on alcoholic beverages. And so, great way to save money is not to drink alcohol. And a lot of countries, like Italy, really good bottled water, not really good bottled water, really good tap water. Sweden, really good tap water. Switzerland, really good tap water. So, if you are in a country that has really good tap water, definitely partake of the tap water instead of the bottled water. You will save a lot of money. All right. So, to answer the final questions, and then I'll really wrap up, Kirk asked Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. I like Lord of the Rings more than Harry Potter. I've seen all the Lord of the Rings movies. I have not seen all the Harry Potter movies. I like the big epic things in Lord of the Rings better. SoCal Seth says the Skywalk at the Grand Canyon is a trip. I would like to do the Skywalk. That looks like a lot of fun. I think that's the one closest to Las Vegas. Instakill says, what's the best restaurant near Maui? Mama's Fish House is considered the best restaurant in Maui. I have a video on Mama's Fish House. It is one of the top 10 restaurants in Yelp anywhere. So you should check that out. BR Vandal asks, have you started using Airbnb more? No, I am Airbnb averse. I like to stay in a hotel that I know is actually going to be there. I've heard too many Airbnb horror stories, so Airbnb is still not for me. Jake McShane asks, what do you do if you have to go to the bathroom when you are in the middle of a live chat? I go to the bathroom right before I push the live button to start this, and so maybe right afterwards too, especially after I drink this entire cup of iced tea. Very little left. It was full when I started. Antelope Canyon is a must-do too. Dan Dick agrees that Mama's is good in Maui. Kirk asks, what kind of car do you drive? I drive a yellow Lexus IS300. You know why the name is Yellow Productions? Because I drive a yellow car. That's why it started with the name Yellow. By the way, if you know Lexus, you might wonder and say, does Lexus really come in yellow? And there were 2 years that Lexus made the IS300 in yellow. So, that concludes our live stream. I would like to thank everybody for joining the live stream. I will be wrapping it up here. If you are wondering when the next live stream is, I will encourage you, if you haven't subscribed and rung the bell yet, do ring the bell and sign up for notifications. You'll get notified when I do the next live stream. Next week is San Diego Comic-Con. I am super excited for San Diego Comic-Con. I'll be doing videos from San Diego Comic-Con, videos about cosplay. I'll probably be doing a live stream through the exhibit hall. I don't have a time for that because I don't know exactly when I'm going to get there, but if you want to know when I'll be doing those, hit that bell button and you'll get notifications for all of them. And if there's anything you'd like to see me do at Comic-Con, let me know. Hit me up. Give me a message if there's anything you want me to try and see or post. I'll also be posting pictures on Facebook from Comic-Con, so if you don't follow me on Facebook, you can find the link in the description below to my Facebook page. Instant Kill says, when do you live stream this? Typically Mondays at 8 p.m. There will not be a live stream next Monday at 8 p.m. or there's a few Mondays that I won't be doing live streams, but I always post my live stream schedule ahead of time to my Facebook page, Yellow Productions Travel on Facebook, so follow that if you want to see when the next live streams are. That's it. Signing out, everybody. Thank you. David, Rival Adversary, SoCal Seth, Danny, Rival Adversary, Kirk. Bye-bye, everybody.